All right, hey, guys, I'm Kevin. This is Jamar. So happy birthday.
Hey, appreciate it, man.
Okay. So the first question I ask everybody, when I start going, is hardest player you ever had to play against, football or basketball. Who's the hardest person you think you ever had to play against?
Cedric Jones from Altus High School.
Football.
He graduated in '96 from Altus, ended up going to OU, and I want to say he got a little bit of playing time in the NFL, but he was 6'4", 6'5", 225, 235 fullback from Altus. They ran a wishbone offense, and he was an absolute monster.
Dang.
But it's the best game that I had to play in. I mean, it was the 95-96 season whenever we went to the state championship and ended up losing to John Marshall 21-7. But he was the absolute beast of all beasts when I was playing defensive end, and he was just cold to deal with.
Yeah, that's crazy. So talk a little bit more about your high school experiences with sports, and talk about maybe if you had a travel ball team at AAU. How did that kind of go about?
Well, I didn't necessarily play traveling ball. My brother did. He was an All-American in 1991 and an All-Stater as well at Lawton MacArthur. But as far as me, I played football, basketball, and track, and I've played in the state championship football game. I played in the state semifinal, lost by a point. In the state tournament in basketball, in track. I mean, we had a pretty dominant team. I had people that on my team that went to the Junior Olympics. So, I just played with straight up monsters. I mean, Lawton around that time, Southwest Oklahoma around that time was very competitive.
So you went to Langston. So tell me a little bit about that. How did you kind of go about Langston, and how do you think that's kind of shaped you into how you are now?
Okay. So I got to Langston. My brother actually graduated from MacArthur, and then he went to Langston after he attended Eastern Oklahoma Junior College. Mm-hmm. And, I was going to go into the Army. So, the day before I was supposed to leave, I had done everything to go. And the day before I was supposed to leave, I sent a 30-page fax to Dr. Holloway at Langston University, telling them that I wanted to attend school. And so I had already decided that the Army wasn't going to be the deal. And the day that I was just going to go up there to visit, I got a phone call saying that you've been awarded the McCabe Scholarship, which is a full academic scholarship. Mm. So, I was joyous about that. I went up there, I walked on to play football, and I ended up playing there for 4 years. I was a 5-time academic All-American while playing there, and it was just a great experience. But I did play football, ran track for a little bit, even sang in the choir for a semester, but it was just a great experience. Going to a HBCU, historically black college, it was, it's a different experience for some people, but, it was great for me. I pledged the football fraternity while I was there. I also pledged Kappa Alpha Psi, so, who that, one love, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, so talk about, so when you walked on, did you know you wanted to keep playing football, or was it kind of just after all the time you was I may should try it out? How did that kind of...
I knew I wanted to play football. I mean, basketball was always my first love because I grew up, because my dad played, and I was at the gym with him whenever I was, knee high, but he was, all Army. He was all CIAA, which is a historic black college on the East Coast. He went to Virginia Union. I had been around my brother watching him play, and it was just a matter of, there's no such thing as a 6'1" power forward.
Right.
So that wasn't going to happen. So I had to find an alternative route. And like I said, I did play football, basketball, and track. And football was always something that I loved. So I just decided to go that route with it. And, it was kind of my thing.
See, mine was kind of opposite. I liked football when I was growing up, 3rd, 5th, 6th grade. I loved football. And then on the basketball, it kind of took over me. I ended up quitting, football and everything. So I think if I would have played, I think I could have been pretty good. If I would have kept,
Here's what I remember about you, and this is going to be me telling the story about you.
Yeah.
You were in the 7th grade, and I don't remember who the football coach was, but you had went out, and this is after you having a real good season in your 6th grade year.
Yeah.
Because remember, I had coached you, you had played in the All-Star game and all that kind of stuff. And then this one coach, he was like, let's go ahead and get the trash out on the field, the garbage players out on the field. And you had to go out there to play wide receiver on that.
I remember that, yeah.
And I remember, myself and your mom, we were in the stands and we were going nuts because I mean it, that hurt to the core. Anybody saying something about a young person like that. But we knew at that particular point that something special was about to happen. So you start your 7th grade basketball season.
Yeah.
And you go off for 31 points, first game, perfect form, perfect everything. And I was like, well, football was done. We got a basketball player.
Yeah.
So, at that point, I knew you were going to be something special with it. I knew we had something going.
Right. So, like, with you, like, when did you, like, think, like, when did you know that you can kind of, like, play in college? Like, when you, like, as soon as you, like, when was, like, your, like, aha moment? Like, when you, like, was at Langston, like, I can actually play and I can be, I can be pretty good.
I didn't have an aha moment. Where I grew up from, it's like you play sports to get out of where you're at. Mm-hmm. So once you get there, you're already expected. I mean, we played at a high level every year. Mm-hmm. State championships, state semifinals. We were groomed to really win, we were groomed to win. Right. We were groomed we don't back down from anybody. Right. I mean, Lawton is tough. Yeah. So, I grew up Lawton tough, and, it didn't matter where I went. I knew that I was going to be ready because I knew I was going to be one of the hardest workers. So it really didn't matter to me. But I guess if you could say a defining moment is I was in practice one day, and I knew I was probably going to get red-shirted my first year in college. But I went up against, I think he was a junior, and I'm not going to mention his name because he'll know who he is. But I went up against a junior, and, I'm playing wide receiver at the time, and we're doing a run play, and I just go straight up and hit him. And, if you know anything about me, I'm a tough guy.
Right.
But, I went up and hit him. He was like, "Little Lockhart, why, slow down. We not doing the full game thing." Mm-hmm. But I knew at that point I could compete with anybody, and I never would back down. And, from that point on, I just kind of went at it, and I became, a decent college player. I'm not going to say I was an all-star. I was just a hard worker. Mm-hmm. But I knew at that point that, I had arrived and I could compete with anybody, and I wasn't going to back down from anybody.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's dive back to high school. Or in college, you can say, who do you think is the most underrated player that you think you played with, that you don't think got enough credit at the time, that was, like, really good? Who do you think?
Who do I think is the most underrated player? Am I being honest or am I being biased?
You can be honest, yeah.
Okay. And this is 100% being honest.
You think so?
Yeah. 6'3" lefty that can flat out score on anybody.
Yeah.
And you're kind of that tweener. You were forced to play, a little bit of power forward. Yeah. You were forced to play every position. But I think you were underrated because you came from Duncan, and Duncan's not necessarily known for basketball players. Yeah. But you were probably one of the more underrated because I knew how good you were as a scorer. I could secondly say, maybe my older brother Sam, who played at MacArthur. Even though he went to college and he played, I thought he was a D1 level type player, but D1 is few and far between.
Right.
But his work ethic and, everything he did, I thought he was very underrated. But I would say you two are two of the more underrated players, but I say you're probably the most underrated. And that's not being biased at all. I've seen basketball for, I just turned 41. So, for 35 years of really knowing the game and really seeing the game, that's what I've seen.
Mm-hmm. And so you say you're 41. So what would 41-year-old Jamar tell 18-year-old Jamar back then? Like, what do you think your biggest advice would be as a freshman coming in college? Like what would you think? Like, what would you tell yourself?
I would still tell myself you got to get that first year out the way.
Yeah.
You got to work hard academically the first year. You have to really put that together because that's the foundation for everything else that you're going to do. Mm-hmm. I would say get in the weight room a whole lot more. Get committed to the weight room. Get committed to the weight room. Get committed to being in shape. A lot of times I didn't really do it that way, even though I had the work ethic, but I didn't do it all the time. Stay away from the parties is what I would tell myself, even though I didn't really party like that. But, those would be the things that I would tell myself, and, have fun with it.
Yeah,
because that first year you have to enjoy it in order to even want to go back.
It is hard, yeah, because just school, sports, just everything about me being at Tabor was just kind of hard, especially being away.
What would you tell yourself your first year?
What would I tell myself? Not everything I know now. Probably not be, just relax. Like, don't be so stressed. I'll probably tell myself that because I know when I got up there, I was kind of, I'm trying to play. I gotta make good grades. Like, I have to do all these little things, and I was just so like, I was just so stressed. So I think that's probably the biggest advice I would tell myself. And if I was to go back to talk to the high school kids next year or whatever, I would, just be like, hey, like, high school's fun. Like, don't take it so seriously. Because a lot of guys don't play in college. I was blessed enough to be able to, but ultimately have fun. Don't stress out about it. Get your shot blocked and just don't take it so seriously. You know what I'm saying? Like, just try to have fun with it. Because it only comes one. Because I wish every day I was still in high school at times. Because it's so much. High school now is so much easier than one in college. And like. And so I would probably tell myself to just really enjoy it and just kind of mellow out. So, so you coach. So how long you been at Duncan?
Well, this year finishes up my fifth year at Duncan High School as a basketball coach. And of course, I coach middle school track as well. But fifth year as one of the assistant basketball coach. And I coached a couple of years with the Southwest Impact. With Summer League, coaching you and your friends.
Yeah.
So I had my last player from the Southwest Impact leave this year.
Shout out Preston.
Shout out P Money.
Got Donovan, yeah.
Yeah.
So when you was coaching, like, what are some things you look for, like, in a player, like some characteristics, like, in a player?
Heart. I mean, that's the one thing that you really can't coach. You can't coach somebody's heart. You can't coach their effort.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can try to instill it in them, but that part of it's really up to him. I mean, with the coaching staff that we have, we coach fundamentals every day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you were a part of it, so
right.
But so the fundamental part we can coach every day. The X's and O's part we can coach every day. But heart and you gotta be able to get young people to want to run through walls for you.
Right.
And I think that's something to our credit that we've done.
Mm-hmm.
Our players, they love us, but they know that we love him. If we're the first people that can yell at you about something, we're the first person that can give you a high five and cheer you on.
Right.
So I think if you can just build that trust in them, if you build a culture to the program if you build a culture around, love, unity, heart, believing, you know that, I mean, you can see it on my shirt, there's believe somewhere on there. But if you can build it around believing in each other and trusting each other, the rest of it will take care of itself. I mean, we went from winning 4 games.
4 to 5 games.
Yeah,
14
7 games to 14.
14
You had the first winning season in a long time here in Duncan. So, but it's just developing the culture. Finding heart means everything.
Right. And
if you have that, in having expectations, doing 100% of the things 100% correct 100% of the times. I know you've heard that 1,000 times, but that's what we believe in. That's what I believe in, and I think if you have that, then you're developing that winning program.
Right. So, all right. So since talking about coaching, who do you think the best coach you ever played for? Football, basketball, or whatever. Like, who do you think probably the best coach you ever played for?
The best coach that I ever played for.
Mm-hmm.
See that. I can't really say one because there's no necessary best for me because each one of them
helped you some
each one of them gave me different things. I would say 2 coaches, Coach Griffin whenever I was at MacArthur and Coach Lusby. Coach Griffin, he coached me when I was a wide receiver. He's the head coach at Cash now. But he just knew the intensity that I have, and he never would let me just quit. Mm-hmm. And Coach Lusby just gave me that dog.
See football too?
Yeah, football. I mean,
at Langston?
No,
this
at MacArthur. At MacArthur. He just gave me that fight.
Okay.
I mean, he would not let me back down from anything. When things were going wrong, he always tried to pull me out of the fire and nah, Lockhart, nah, this ain't your last name. This ain't who you are. Get after him. Now, here will be a question. Who are the best coaches or coach you played for?
Yeah. From an offensive standpoint, Coach Parrish, for sure. Coach Parrish, freshman year I hated him because he would scream at me, he would yell at me, and I never really been a part of it, because just growing up, he really helped me. I still do moves to this day that he's taught me, and he would. And then as a defensive standpoint, you did obviously.
Good answer.
Good answer. I can talk. McGuire helped me as far as really just hard, because I would get yelled at or whatever. I was still, but McGuire, his little deal was that he made me think up here instead of using my athletic ability. He made me think the game a little bit more than what just with sets and just different stuff like that. And McGuire I think he's a little undercredited about some of the stuff that he does. You know what I'm saying? He's a hard worker. He does. He always watches film, always does stuff. And I think he gets a little underappreciated. But I think McGuire is probably just his. It made me think a lot. More than what. So I would probably say that. But yeah, as an offensive defensive standpoint, you and Coach Parrish for sure. Yeah. So, what would your advice be to a student coming in as a student athlete and as a high school player? So I know because you coach freshmen. What's the biggest thing that you try to help them with?
First thing, being a student, realizing that here's the deal. You say student athlete, right? So you got to be a student first. If you're not disciplined in the classroom,
it's gonna be hard to do it on the court.
How can we trust you to be disciplined? How can we trust you to do anything on the court?
Right.
So you first have to get your grades right. I mean, you have to get your teachers to trust you. You have to get your teachers to like you, and then that translate over onto the court. My best players that I've ever coached have been great in the classroom.
Right.
I don't because I was an academic guy. I've never been not focused on that. So, be a student first. But then, how hard are you willing to work?
Right.
Do your job. Are you doing your job? Are you able to look yourself in the mirror every single day and tell yourself that you've done your part? And then after you've done that, then that translates on the court, and then that's when success started happening.
All right. So talk a little bit about last year's team. My seniors, me, Sam, Span. All those guys, describe all of us as a team. How would you describe our little teams? We had a lot of personality on the team. So
y'all had y'all had a bunch. I mean, in describing y'all were the perfect blend of talent that Duncan could have offered at that particular time.
Losing to Ada still, man. I still can't watch. Losing to Ada, man. We should have beat them.
Yeah, we should have beat them.
We should have beat them.
But you come down to you got a score, and I mean you averaging darn near 24 points a game.
Sam
scored 1,000 points, and scored 1,000 points overall in your career. You can't beat that scoring potential, especially you being a lefty. And then you got Sam. Sam probably being the smartest point guard.
Yeah, for sure.
Smartest point guard I ever seen.
For sure.
Then you had Jay with the. He's bringing that city mentality where he's able to dish it. But then you get the toughness of a Caleb Span.
Yeah. Oh, man, if JJ wouldn't have got hurt, man, I think we could have won 17, 18 games.
Man, if Babs...
I really wouldn't have to guard nobody if Caleb and JJ was out there.
Man, if Babs would have been out there, man, we would have been a state tournament, no doubt. And we probably could have done some damage, but
you got the Bladen can shoot. He improved a lot. Preston, he gave us good minutes off the bench.
I mean, you had Drayden at the time.
Cool.
You had, I think Nick and Ben were kind of helping a little bit.
Yeah.
So y'all just had a different compilation of a team, but y'all were a complete.
But just everybody, even some of the JV guys, they love. We all.
But it didn't start off. It didn't start off with the varsity because during the season, your JV team was bringing. The JV team was bringing that heat. I mean, so we were winning games,
right?
And y'all had to match the mentality,
right?
Y'all had to match the attitude. Right. So You knew if we were winning that game, y'all better come in and do something, or something was going to be said the next day to y'all. So it was just a different dynamic, man. But it was a great dynamic. But we had worked for it. We had built. That's what you build programs off of. That's what we rebuilt the program. After Colin and his whole group left, we rebuilt the program, but we took stepping stones with y'all, man. It was tough. I mean, we had to lose in order to win.
Right.
But y'all earned it, and y'all were just straight up guts, man. Mm-hmm. It was straight up guts. It was straight up grit. It wasn't no flash. It was just a meat and potato type of team. We're going to go to work. I mean, what teams do you know that really want to take charges like y'all were taking charges?
Caleb took like 20 last year.
Man, so. Even you took the charge.
Yeah, I took like 3. Yeah, for real.
Yeah, 3 for real.
Yeah, for real.
But, yeah.
So all right. So last year's team's out the way. You had to rebuild. What do you think the biggest focus was like for this year and like the next couple of years after we're all leaving? Like, what do you like? How do you?
It wasn't rebuilding because we had built the culture of the program. Y'all had set something in place to where they knew what the work ethic was going to be, and they took what y'all did and they worked. We knew we were going to be undersized, and we had a couple of people that we expected to be there that weren't there, but we had a lot of people just come together. We came together this year. Now, did we win as much as we wanted to? No, but winning is not necessarily defined in the score. Mm-hmm. But we won in life. We won on the court, of course. Mm-hmm. But I mean, we grew up, and that was the whole thing. We needed to grow up. We didn't have, the same type of seniors. We had different type of seniors that really hadn't had the same amount of playing time.
Right.
But they tried to lead, and they did a very good job. But we were very junior heavy with it. But it's going to help. It's a great catalyst for this year coming up, and it's going to be something really special to watch. I mean, it's going to be
shoot, man.
Yeah. I mean, here's the deal. Y'all were better scorers. They're better shooters.
Yeah, right.
Because they can flat out shoot. I mean, it is what it is. I'm honest with you.
Yeah, right.
You weren't the best shooter,
right?
But you can score with anybody,
right?
And y'all can score with anybody. But I think we got better shooting. I think we're going to capitalize on that, and I think it's going to be something special to watch this year.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the freshmen, so like who, like, it's like the incoming freshmen, then you have, like, is that like a tough, like, to try to like re-instill freshmen coming in every year? Is that kind of hard to do? Or like, how do you like, or do you take pride in like saying like, all right, I can see it as a freshman and I can see the growth as a sophomore and as a junior, like, and you think you had a big part of that? Like, how do you?
Me personally, I take pride in it because, my job is to get them ready for the next level. Right. Ultimately. My job is to see if we can get 3, 4, 5 freshmen, see if we can get them to the JV level, and see if we can get them, because we don't discriminate. I mean, ultimately, you want seniors and juniors and sophomores to run your program, but if we got a freshman that can play, then we want to get them going. With me, I just take the pride in bringing the best out of them. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times they haven't had as hard of coaching, in which I know I'm a tough coach.
Yeah.
But if you can be coached by me, you can be coached by anybody, especially since I know what we're going to need for the next level of the program. But now that our 7th and 8th grade program is where it's at, I mean, our 7th and 8th grade coaches have really done a great job in instilling some of the things that we want. Now, if they get in trouble down there, of course, I go down there as a disciplinarian. They get a day with Coach Lockhart. But they've instilled kind of the base for what we want whenever they get to the high school level, and when they get to the freshman level, which I'm the head coach there, then they already know. They've already experienced a part of me, so they already know the expectation. So now it's like, let's go, and they responded well, to their credit. The parents have responded well. They've responded well.
All right, and so you got a new coach, Coach Kephart, Brandon Kephart. How do you think he's helped the coaching staff since he's been here?
Well, first off, Coach Kephart and I played high school basketball together. Yeah. So he was one of the best offensive players that I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. He's top 3, 4 whenever it comes to offensive players. So he has instilled in them the fact that he has knowledge of the game. Him playing, professional basketball overseas, him playing collegiate basketball. So a lot of the players have a real trust with him. so they know what he's bringing to the table. He's instilled a lot of shooting drills. He's instilled some plays. So he's been a godsend to the program, and we appreciate everything he does. He takes some of the pressure off of the coaches that have been there previously, but he brings a lot to the table, and we appreciate everything that he's done.
And I wish he could have been here my senior year.
Man,
you know what I'm saying? We can go from averaging 67, 68 points a game to 75, 80. But I like him. He's cool. Me and him did a little work this last summer and stuff before I left, and he definitely knows what he's talking about. He can still play a little bit. We play 1-on-1, and I ain't gonna get into all of it. But so that pretty much wraps up this. So I have a little bonus segment. At the end.
Okay.
So the first question is, what do you think the greatest era is? 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010. What do you think the greatest era is?
90s.
I think the 90s.
I think the 90s. The 90s because it's a combination of the toughness of the 80s, but it also brings some of the finesse of the 2000s and beyond. But it was just a different era of basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can only speak for MacArthur because that's what I concentrated on. But I would say from 90, 91 up until 97 when I graduated was some of the best basketball in this particular area. And I know there were several good teams, whether it be girls or boys basketball. I mean, Duncan girls were good. Altus girls were good. But Lawton High boys were good. I mean, everybody was competitive. And you just, I would say the 90s would be my favorite era of basketball, especially in the high school arena.
That's the high school. What about pros? You think 90s still probably? Because I'm a little biased. I got to go with the 2000s, 2010s. I'm just a little biased. But especially if you put like our rules in to when they played, I feel like we would still kind of get the advantage. We can space out the floor a little bit more.
Yeah, but when you put real basketball rules in, like we used to play with, I would say mid to late 80s up until mid to late 90s. I mean, you had Jordan, you had Magic, you had Bird. I mean, come on now.
Right.
There's really you can't compete with that. On up until, whenever Shaq started coming in and he was having his dominance, Olajuwon, Kobe in his beginning years, it was a different era of basketball. I mean, I don't think it's hard to compare eras, but because there are different rule sets, but that is my favorite era of basketball.
Okay. So we in quarantine and everything. Are you listening to music right now? You got any top 5 favorite artists that you listen to while you've been?
Man, I don't really.
Quarantine?
Man, you just give me old school, man. Give me Biggie, give me Tupac, give me, Bun B, Pimp C, give me stuff like that. Mainly right now, I listen to sports talk radio. I'm just trying to become a fan of the game. Hear different sports here with different coaches are saying. So that's my main thing. I don't even really listen to music.
Listen to music no more. That's what I was usually. I was usually in there listening to music. That's all I do pretty much now that I've just been stuck at the house. So I really don't do much.
Right.
Besides working, I'm listening to music all the time. But that's it. That's a wrap for this. Thank you for having me.
Hey, well, thanks for having me, man. Yeah. Hey, I'm glad that I was able to be here.
Yeah, I have 41 years old. Hey, so 41.
4-1. 4-1's gonna be good, but I'm glad to be able to do it with the kid here. With my son, I'm glad that you're making great decisions, and I'm glad that I'm gonna be able to see you play real soon. I miss watching you play.
Yeah.
I miss your game, but I'm proud of what you're doing with this particular podcast. I hope we get a whole lot more subscribers.
I do too. So people, please, at the end, please watch it.
Please watch it. Please subscribe to them. Please. What's the name of your show?
It's Timeout with Kevin. So I'm gonna put it back on Facebook tomorrow. So we're gonna upload this tomorrow. So please, guys, please. So thank you once again.
Hey, all good, man. And hey, like I always do whenever I interview, I'm here with Kev. It's Time Out with Kevin, but go Demons.
Yeah. All right. Thank y'all.